We're in conversation with our Alpha manager, Anup Maheshwari. Anup, in some of the sectors that we've already discussed, some of your portfolio stock positions are fairly indicative of where your interest lies at this point in time. So you spoke to us of commercial vehicles. Ashok Leyland is listed in many of your fund portfolios. My question to you is this: do you see at this point in time, Ashok Leyland to be the biggest beneficiary of that turnaround because of, the many issues that Tata Motors is facing domestically? Or at some point in time, that stock too will become very attractive to you simply because it outpaces Ashok Leyland in size?
Yeah, so Mika, I can't specifically discuss companies in particular, but again, let me just sort of try and keep it as broad as I can. I think when we're looking at companies, typically we're looking at where they are in their cycle and whether there's a lot of operating leverage in the business that we can sense from all the players in the commercial vehicle segment. And we're also, by the way, looking at within the financial services some of the funders of commercial vehicles as well in our portfolio.
Yes, I think Shriram Transport is
so
in
essentially,
your list.
Yeah, so it's basically a call on the fact that the cycle has to come back, considering the fact that we will get back into some more movement on the ground in terms of projects and activity overall as far as the economy is concerned. And we've seen a very long cycle of a much more than normal sort of cycle, negative cycle on commercial vehicles already. The other aspect, of course, that we have to overlay on that is which companies are have the management that seem to be moving towards increasing market share, reducing costs, doing all the right things that they're supposed to do. And if we can get that combination of a good cycle combined with a management that we believe are able to execute and end up pushing return on capital ratios higher, I think that's typically what we're looking for in our stock selection. So that's the sort of logic of some of those positions.
Okay, before I ask you more stock-specific questions, a couple of sector-specific questions. Your outlook on pharma at this point in time. And also, I'm looking at infrastructure, and I think the one portfolio, one fund that it seems, sort of reasonably well represented in is in your top 100 equity fund. I'm not sure how much more interest you have in infrastructure, so talk us through that as well.
Sure. So as far as the pharmaceutical sector is concerned, we still think it's a great buy and hold long-term sector to invest in. There are some risks that have emanated more recently in terms of FDA-related issues and even domestic price controls, etc. But I think there's no denying the fact that this is a reasonably good, consistently high return on capital sector. Over long periods of time, 10 years, 20 years, we've seen this to be one of the sectors that has consistently generated shareholder value. And we don't see any major reason for that to change. Combined with all of this is the fact that we have some very good quality managements in this sector that also give us additional comfort on their ability to grow over time and deliver more value. So pharma as a whole, we'd definitely be bullish long term. There may be points where our weights may go up or down depending on valuations in the near term, but by and large over long periods of time we'd be more invested or overweight on the sector than underweight.
And yet it doesn't feature in your top 100 equity fund, does it, as any of the key sectors or your top holdings? I can't see a single pharmaceutical stock make it to the top holdings of most of your funds, with the exception of the tax saver fund or the opportunities fund.
Yeah. No, so we do have some pharma holdings, but as I said, it's a function of the pricing at a point in time. But this is a sector that we're always interested in terms of owning it at an appropriate point.
So which ones do you own, Anup, if I may ask that?
Overvalued.
Would you, even if you can't take names, which ones do you own more likely in the large cap space, for instance, Sun, etc.? Or is it more the mid cap pharma picks that look interesting to you at this point in time?
No, it's pretty much a combination of the two. So if I just look across our funds, you'll see, in varying degrees in different funds, but you'll see names like, Dr. Reddy's, Lupin, Cadila, some of the smaller ones in our mid-cap, micro-cap funds. You'll see names like Indoco, Strides, etc. So there's a fairly wide range of names that we own. But the point, as I said, was that it's more a function of pricing at a point in time, but it's a sector that we probably over a longer period of time definitely want to have more of or be more overweight rather than underweight consistently.
Okay. And infrastructure? Sorry, Anna, just one last bit on infrastructure.
Yeah, so infrastructure is also a very broad area, so it includes a whole range of sectors. But within infrastructure, the port side is something that we like quite a lot as, a high sort of return on capital generating sector with huge barriers to entry. So that's something we like. We like the road construction space because again there too we think through the next cycle there should be some good opportunities for players who've managed to maintain their balance sheet quality through this cycle, the past cycle. So road construction and ports would be the big areas. And then selectively we'd look at some companies in the pipeline space, the power space, selectively. But those are some of the areas that we're keen on.
Indeed. So Anup doesn't want to talk stocks, but some of the stocks in his portfolio are Adani Ports, Ashoka Buildcon, so the kind of stocks that...
And I think in the industrial space, Sadbhav, Crompton Greaves, these are all stocks that would in some sense also be related
Indeed.
to
So maybe if you take a look at the portfolio, you would get a sense of what kind of stocks is bullish on. But Anup, a larger question then, what's the downside risk to this market, considering that your portfolio is also slightly high beta, and 1/3 of your big portfolio is in financial space, banks and other NBFCs. So in that case, what is the risk to this market, and where do you see downside? We haven't yet seen a big correction in this market. The biggest has been just 5%. In the last bull market, we had several instances of double-digit corrections. In certain cases, even 15 to 20% correction. We haven't had that so far.
Yeah. So I'm going to quote from some statistics that were presented at a conference recently, and in the last 35 years we've had 23 positive years and 12 negative years in the stock market, and of those 12 years I think it's 3 or 4 times that the market was down more than 35% in a given year, and on all those occasions it was preceded by a greater than 50% rise in the previous year. So typically you get vulnerable to large downsides only once you've had very large upsides already. And the way we see this is, of course our market has moved up in the last year or so, but this is after a 4 or 5 year phase of consolidation. And therefore, unless valuations get a lot more expensive, we don't see very large, corrections coming through. At a 16-time forward multiple, especially at a time where you're actually in the process of improving macro and micro data, as well as interest rates potentially coming off rather than rising. I think as long as return on capital ratios are heading up and interest rates are heading down, that's normally a phase where markets are looking for re-rating upwards rather than de-rating downwards. And therefore, until this, the P multiple itself gets very extreme or overvalued, we wouldn't really be in the camp of a very strong correction coming through into markets.
Okay. So
I guess the only caveat that everyone will throw is on global markets and the uncertainties there, but that's not something you can plan a portfolio on. So for now, we're pretty optimistic.
Indeed. In fact, you are almost all in, just 2% cash levels, Anup. So if all goes well, what are the kind of upsides you're looking at for this market, or what's the kind of CAGR that this market can return over the next 3 to 4 years?
So what we're hoping for is that, unlike the last 5 years where the CAGR in corporate earnings was about 8% or so, over the next 4 or 5 years we'll be running more like 17-18%, a little above the average of 15% that we have over a long period of time. And if we do get that, even if markets stay in this sort of valuation range, I think we'd be quite happy if equities deliver a 17-18% sort of compounding return over the next 3 or 4 years. And we must, appreciate the fact that that's a fairly good number in the context of what other opportunities one has today, especially looking at physical assets like real estate and gold, or the avenues left in fixed income. So I think it's a fairly attractive, asset class to consider.
Anup, what about participation in this market? How do you see that going forward? Are you finally seeing enough momentum in retail investments coming back to this market? Do you believe that FII investments, of course, given the caveat of global stability, will also pick up momentum from here onwards? What's your view on the participation in this market?
Sure. So, at a broader level, again, in the last 23 years of foreign investors investing into India, they've been buying Indian equities for 20 out of the 23 years. So our assumption is you are going through a structural ownership change. And until, let's say, foreign investors own closer to 30% of the market, I think there's a likelihood to keep expecting some degree of flow. So from a foreign perspective, I think there is a fair amount of appetite even today. And domestically, we've gone through a cycle of the last 4 or 5 years seeing negative flow, and that has just changed in the last 6 months or so. So we think we're in the early phases of the domestic cycle turning. And again, in the next couple of years, we'd be expecting more positive flow coming to equities, partly because of lack of options and partly because of the attractiveness of equities anyway. So I think it'll be nice to have a combination of both domestic as well as foreign investors looking to increase allocations, because typically so far they've tended to move it in a contrary trend rather. So I think that's something that we're hoping will help this market along.
This 30% FII ownership figure is premised on what, Hanu?
It's just looking at other regions and generally what sort of ownership levels foreign investors have gone to in other markets.
Okay. You spoke of how much higher you expect these markets to go, not in absolute terms, but relatively speaking. Any new emerging areas of investment that have caught your attention in the recent past? For instance, with many fund managers, we've spoken about how to play the new e-commerce, trend. Or it could be a very traditional sector that could be making a comeback. For instance, areas in agri that appeal to you at this point in time. Just themes that are, new, at least in this bull market, so to speak.
So I'm not sure there's going to be any new dominant theme in this bull market or on this sort of market trend that we're looking at now over the next few years. E-commerce is definitely one area, but I'm not sure how much of that we'll be able to capture in proper market cap terms by the time these companies come out to list, what valuations they'll be at and how much of shareholder value creation will occur for the listed shareholder. So it's going to sort of vary in terms of your ability to play some of these sectors, which sound very interesting, but you don't necessarily have the avenues to play to invest.
But you could play them through the logistics space or the supply chain space, which is what many sort of high-profile investors have also been talking about, which is what you see play out in Gati every other day. So I'm just curious, is that an area that attracts your attention?
That's definitely an interesting area, but whenever we look at any sector, we're also interested in the economics of that sector in terms of the return on capital ratios that will eventually come through, the level of scale, the quality of management who are building out these businesses, and you need that sort of combination to work together for you to be able to take some fairly large positions. But for now, yes, there's no denying the fact that thematically, logistics is an area that will see a lot of investment. As GST comes through, there will be a fair amount of positive effect on the sector because of that as well. So there are areas, but to be very honest, we're struggling to come up with enough ideas to be able to play out these themes very well. I don't think there's enough choice in the market available yet. So we're sort of still falling back to some of the more conventional sectors, as I mentioned, banking and finance being the biggest of them in the index in any case. As more the proxies to this cycle, coming back, rather than trying to be able to put a large amount of money into any selected themes.
Okay, so final question, Anuj. Do you see 10,000 on the Nifty as something that we'll do in the next year or so?
We don't really put Nifty levels, and
I put the level. I'm asking if you think that's realistic.
It may or may not happen. I really have no idea. The fact is, the way we see this is, as long as we get earnings growth and this market pretty much moves in line with earnings, I think that's much better. I'd be a little worried, frankly, if the Nifty went to 10,000 too quickly, because then what it does is, you don't create necessarily a sustainable move in the market commensurate with the earnings stream that is likely to come through, and that's never good for investors who will keep coming into the market at different points in time. The last thing you want is a very sharp rise and then money coming in and then having a poor experience. So in an ideal world, it should be in line with earnings, as consistent as possible, so that people get comfort with the asset class. But we don't live in an ideal world, and you do get sharp non-linear movements as well. So I can't say whether that will happen or not. But the fact is, as I said, we're optimistic. We think this asset class will probably do better than most others. And with the 17-18% potential earnings growth, we see no reason why the market shouldn't do at least that or not, if not better.
All right. Thanks very much for that, Anup. And we had to try. Thanks very much for joining us on Closing Bell this afternoon. That's Anup Maheshwari, our Alpha Manager of the day.